Thank you so much for that lovely introduction, and thank you so much for the opportunity to present to you all. So my name is Melissa and I'm from Charles Sturt University. So I'm incredibly fortunate to be supervised by Professor Catherine Allen and Associate Professor Ben Wilson. And so my PhD is entitled A Study of Social Norms and Soil Management. And today I'll just talk you through a brief rundown of my thesis, as well as my research approach and the results I've found to date. So a multitude of challenges are presented to Australian farmers living in a very distinctive country with extreme weather events and highly variable rainfall, with the addition of having soils that have multiple constraints. Many soil conservation programs implemented within Australia have been categorised by having a limited uptake of success with rural landholders, and many scholars encapsulate this as a failure to three main factors. So the high upfront cost of conservation methods, the selection of technology sometimes not relevant to landholders, and the lack of incentives for farmers to maintain conservation practices. So there's also a deep uncertainty and complexity surrounding the management of soil. While there are plenty of ideals and notions of good farming proliferating around Australia, they are intertwined with a deep uncertainty about best soil management. So new developments in natural resource management with a focus on behavioural and community-based approaches have identified that social norms are one such phenomenon that have powerful implications on the influence and effectiveness and acceptability of policy tools and underlying behaviours within communities. So social norms are unwritten laws. So they generate both social expectations within communities and also moral obligations within individuals. So my research sought to identify and understand the social norms operating within Australian farming communities and how they're influencing perceptions of good and bad farming practices today, and how this in turn influences management. So these are my research questions. So what is the extent of these social norms influencing what extent are the social norms? To what extent are there social norms around soil management? How are these social norms developed, and how do they influence farmers? What is the influence of social context on the development of agricultural norms? And what are the implications of the above for soil policy and management? So for my research approach, I use qualitative methods to explore social norms. My case study is the lovely Holbrook Land Care Network, which is on Wiradjuri country, and I conducted semi-structured interviews with farmers and other agricultural experts to identify social norms operating within their farming community. So I found so many social norms within this farming community that are influencing the farmers' management of their soils. A few of the norms I identified included expectation around stubble burning, weed management, cultivation, tilling, soil inputs, and that's just a few. There are so many. And all of these norms all tied into what it means to be a good farmer. There we are. So, and then question 2, which asked how these social norms develop and how they influence farmers, is by social sanctioning and peer pressure, and what a high degree of social sanctioning and pressure my farmers experience. And I'll say all of them, and the ones that didn't experience were the ones doing it to other farmers. For example, one of my farmers who's been trying mixed species pastures informed me she had been called a witch who eats children by her neighbour. And these expectations of what it means to be a good farmer are so embedded within this community that if a farmer goes against the norm, evidently no setting is too inappropriate to tell another farmer that what they're doing is wrong, such as in a hardware shop, on a field day, or even at a wake after a funeral. I wish I was joking, but I'm not. And so question 3, which was what is the influence of social context on the development of these norms? So I had no idea that my thesis would actually become a story about labels, a story of conventional farmers, regenerative farmers, and every farmer in between. But I found none of these farmers really neatly fit into these categories. And these labels affect their approach to management, and labels seem to be almost becoming a barrier to change. Because of these labels, farmers with different farming practices are seeking out, instead of being a community of place, it seems to be rather they're seeking out to become a community of practice with online groups and engaging with similar farmers with practices across Australia. And so question 4, I found so many trends in my data set that will have implications for soil policy and management. And so I can't go into much detail now, but it just shows how important farming groups are. So I'd just like to end it on my favourite quote, part of my transcriptions, which I really think sums what it means to be a good farmer in Australia today. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.